I would like to introduce the third speaker, who is Professor Roberto Andorno. He's Associate Professor of Biomedical Law and Bioethics at the Law Faculty and Research Fellow and Coordinator of the PhD program in Biomedical Ethics and Law at the Institute of Biomedical Ethics of the University of Zurich, Switzerland. He's also Lecturer of Ethics of Technologies at the University of Basel. His research and teaching are focused on various issues at the interface of law and bioethics. He will speak about the forgotten common good, why a purely individualistic approach is inadequate for dealing with the challenge of human germline gene editing. Robert, the floor is yours.
So the main point I want to make in my talk is that the current debate on germline gene editing is dominated by a purely individualistic approach that ignores the serious societal interest and concerns around this technology. So indeed, we can observe an almost exclusive focus on the interest and wishes of potential prospective parents in using germline gene editing, especially when there is a risk of having a child with a predisposition to genetically related diseases. And germline gene editing is presented as the only solution. So my point is that this perspective is too narrow, is inadequate, because it forgets to consider the tremendous societal implications, long-term implications of allowing the creation of genetically modified children. The real questions, in my view, are, first of all, what kind of society do we want? What is the right relationship between parents and children? Do parents have a right to genetically design their children? I think these are the fundamental previous questions to any other issues about the risk of off-target effects, etc. Of course, this purely individualistic approach is not exclusive of the debate on germline gene editing. In bioethics, there is a regular common conflict between individual interest and societal interest, between, if you want, autonomy versus beneficence, justice, public health, solidarity. And with the recent COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen that, in fact, individual interests do not have always the last word. Sometimes we have to, for reasons of public health, the common good, sometimes individual preferences and wishes can be limited, like as we have seen with the lockdowns or isolation, use of masks, etc., etc. So there are two approaches that could coexist in most bioethical topics: an individualist approach that prioritizes the interest of individuals over the interest of society as a whole, and a collectivist approach that prioritizes the interest of society as a whole over those of individuals. Of course, both extreme positions are problematic, so we need to find that's what we do normally. We try to find a balance between both, which in the end means promoting the common good of society. Common good can be defined as the set of social conditions that allow people, both individually and as a group, to live in dignity and to flourish as human beings. Please allow me to cite Michael Sandler, who says that the common good is not just the sum of individual preferences. It's about a sense of solidarity based on a shared understanding of what makes for a good society. And I think because I've been working on bioethics, some different topics of bioethics over many years, that over the past few decades, bioethics has put an almost exclusive emphasis on the priority given to individuals' wishes and preferences over societal values and common interests. In some way, I would say the balance has been lost. And in connection to our topic, so this happens, this has led to what is called the desired fulfilling medicine, or as the French call it, médecine du désir. That is a medicine that does no longer or not only seeks to prevent or cure diseases, but rather aspires to, above all, to satisfy all the desires and dreams of individual couples. And moreover, this no more about just about satisfying the desire to have a child, which is of course always very understandable in itself, but it's about satisfying the desire to have a child of a certain quality. The most recent phenomenon of this is precisely germline gene editing, which raises, as I mentioned, unprecedented societal concerns, which are often ignored or minimized in the debates. Just to mention the two main concerns. One is that this technology may cause irreversible harm to future children, their descendants, future generations in general. And second, that it raises the specter of designer babies, so embryos that are genetically modified to enhance them according to their parents' wishes, so an eugenics goal. From a more philosophical point of view, this technology gives us an exorbitant power over our descendants, because in fact parents do not have, that's my view, I think it's a generally shared view that parents do not have a right to design their children, to determine their features, even if they have the best of intentions, because children are not objects, but subjects. So this power would radically distort the nature of the parent-child relationship, which should be a relation between equals and not become a kind of subject-object or master-slave relationship. So this is a more philosophical approach, if you like. The German philosopher Habermas has also argued that germline gene editing would involve a dramatic loss of liberty for future generations, and we need to develop a new ethics in order to preserve our own species, or the characteristic, the nature of our own species. In some reports that were mentioned in previous presentations, that unfortunately focus only on the health side effects of this technique, and claim that once these risks are overcome, there are no intrinsic ethical problems with this. We can go on. But this is problematic. I think these reports ignore the societal long-term implications of the technology, the concerns, and they present a superficial, reductive view as they overlook the serious anthropological disruption that entails the use of genetic engineering in the design of future children. Please allow me to cite again Michael Sandel, which has a critical position again around germline gene editing. He claims that this technology will undermine what he calls the giftedness of life. With this term, he means accepting children for who they are as a gift and not as the product of our intentional design. So he thinks that germline gene editing will exacerbate the drive for mastery and domination over life that fails to appreciate the gifted character of human powers and achievements. With some of the colleagues that participate in this webinar, we published 2 years ago a paper trying to argue, among other things, about these societal aspects of this debate. So I come to my conclusions. I think in the debate around germline gene editing, we need to promote an ethics based on the common good that takes into account broad social context, values, and concerns about the long-term impact of germline alteration on the human species, rather than narrowly focusing on the satisfaction of individual desires at any price. Thank you for your attention.